No fancy intro for this one. Let's get into it. Hello everybody, it's Gabriel. Welcome back to the channel. Today's going to be a video on the channel Aniwiser and their video saying that Beyblade X is 100 episodes of worthless garbage or something like that. They're just saying it's just disappointing. Let's just get into it. So originally I was going to make a video on what people say they hate about Beyblade X on my community tab and picking up the comments for that. But I stumbled upon this video saying that Beyblade X is just 100 episodes of worthless garbage or something. I don't remember the title because I just tried to tune out that video because some of the points, actually most, if not all the points of the video are pretty bad. I'm gonna be honest here. I'm not saying that Beyblade X is a work of art or anything. I'm not saying it's the best anime to ever exist. But the points that they do say are, in his own words, taking the words straight out of his mouth, lack any depth, if I'm being honest here. Now, this doesn't mean you should harass Aniwiser. They don't deserve that, and that's not what I'm trying to do. However, I do want to give a little bit of critique to his video and his points that he points out in said video. And also, this isn't me trying to defend Beyblade X as a glazer, because I do know that Beyblade X has flaws, like the inconsistent animation around the first season, some of the first, actually majority of the first season, and some of season 2. So, I'm aware that Beyblade X has flaws. If I were to go back and fix my Metal Fight is not better than Beyblade X video, I would. But that's not what I'm doing here today. I'm trying to give what I think about this video and what I believe, about this video in specific. So let's quickly get into it. I've made this intro way too long. So the first point that he says is that the characters are basically nothing burgers and have no depth to them. Are we even watching the same show here? Like, genuinely. This point got me so confused. I was actually scratching my head like cartoon characters do in shows. Let's say, is this guy serious? Because, while yes, it's not as in-depth as other Beyblade shows, the characters still have a lot of character. Like, if I could say what Bird is, he's an amateur blader that watched one of the pro matches and wanted to get better. So he trained day by day for a month, and even though he doesn't always win, in fact he doesn't win at all, he still tries his best. He's still determined to win. It's basically a call to adventure, saying that he just wants to push forward despite him not being as strong as he needs to be, which is a very inspiring type of character, and that's a character that fits pretty well into Beyblade. Similarly enough, in Season 3, we get introduced to the Kurosu family, which is X's family, which gives more depth to his character, because we now know that he's coming from a long lineage of very strong bladers, and that in Season 2, we also got an introduction to his mentor, Ginro, who, as a child, Exu was trained by Ginro to be the strongest blader he was, and he just had that strong energy, so much so that out of every blader I think Ginro has taught, they've never gotten Dran's sword to chip off the paint, which shows how strong he is. He's not just a strong character. His character was built on being strong. And while, yes, that's basically just every other Beyblade main character, specifically Jenga, which Jenga was basically born strong. Because of Pegasus. But that's not what I mean here. I mean that he was born strong with the abilities no matter what Exu uses, because of his lineage of strong bladers. And finally, we have Multi, who is a character that has a sister that's at the top of the X Tower in the first season that she wants to overcome. And finally, in Season 2, she was able to beat her sister through trial and error and making different Beyblades to try and beat her sister, which is a good character arc for a character to have, because that sets a goal for them. That sets a goal for them to like beat that person and show how far they've come as a character. To say that these characters are nothing burgers is kind of weird to me, because as I just shown you, I had 3 minutes worth of just talking about the characters, and while that isn't long, I could say just as much. I could say that is just as much as like 1 minute of talking about a Beyblade X character is about the same length as talking about any other character in this series. I can guarantee you I could only speak for 1 minute about Vault, Jenga, Tyson, and basically pick out any character in the entire Beyblade franchise, and I can guarantee you I only have 1 minute of a dialogue to say. Because, to be honest, that's all they need. It's not like you need a very comprehensive character. It's not like you need a character that has multiple layers, like layers of an onion. I'm just saying, critiquing Beyblade X for their characters and saying that their characters have no depth to them is pretty tasteless. Next point he goes over in this video is that it's unclear that Bert isn't the main character of Beyblade X, which he isn't. He isn't really the main character, and I didn't find this out until I heard the fact that Beyblade X is probably known as an ensemble cast anime, where every character of Team Persona, or every character of a cast, is just as important to the plot as the other. Like, sure, there's one that is probably the face of the franchise, but that isn't really particularly a main character. As every character in the plot, every main character in the cast has a significant role. Like, if I were to chop, okay, let's say I was gonna chop out Exu and Multi out of the equation. Bird would just be a slate. Bird would just be like a emotionless slate. Exu and Multi are characters that he can bounce off of to have more of a personality. Similarly with Multi and Exu, even though they do have goals, even though Multi is the only one that has a proper goal, she needs Exu and Bird to bounce off of as supporting characters. They all bounce off of each other as an ensemble cast, and the show, I feel like, is better because of it. And to counter his point that the main character shown in the first few seconds of the episode, need I remind you that this episode doesn't start off with Bird, it starts off with Chrome, which he wasn't talking about that when he first saw it, because believe it or not, Chrome's part is after the monologue of the narrator narrating what the world of Beyblade X is. So we're into the first few seconds of the episode when we get to Chrome. So what standing do we really have here? Because Chrome's obviously not the main character. He's the villain of season 1. So using that point is kind of weird and kind of jaded a little bit. Also, to take a point from Bizarre Interest Productions video, who do we see in the first few seconds of Metal Fight, or Metal Fusion specifically? Definitely not Jenga. We see Kenta, which Kenta isn't the main character. Obviously not, because Jenga is our main character. See, this point got me a little ticked off because of how flawed the idea is. The only series in Beyblade that actually starts off with the main character in the first few seconds of the episode is Beyblade Burst, which that's the 3rd generation. Sure, we were not just talking about the 3rd generation being one of the better ones because it actually shows the first main character actually being the first few seconds of the episode, right? Right? I stand my case. I rest my case. The last point I'm going to go over that I think is important enough to talk about is the villains being pretty one note and not interesting. That is not true. That is the farthest from the truth. If I'm being honest here, that's farthest from the truth. And again, are we watching the same show here? Are you watching a different version of Beyblade X that is just the blandest thing of existence? That is like most flavorless tortilla of existence, or the most flavorless piece of bread that you're just eating, like a piece of white bread. Okay, analogy aside, Beyblade X's antagonists are pretty good, if I'm being honest here, because I can list every character in every antagonist of Beyblade X in a minute-long segment, just as I did for the protagonists. But I won't do that here, because I'm pretty sure if you watch my channel and watch the content that I make, I'm pretty sure you know the characters enough to know that they aren't just blank slates. Like, Chrome is a character that grew a resentment for Exu, and just in the end, really, you just wanted him to stay on Team Pendragon because he relied on Exu. He relied on Exu to stay at the top of the X Tower. And he wanted to get a replacement for Exu because no one could truly replace Exu. Which kind of makes no sense when I talk about it now. But he just wanted to fill in the void that Exu left in Team Pendragon. Which I think is a good motive for him to become a villain, because Exu is part of Team Persona. And Chrome and Exu's battle in episode 51 of the anime is honestly one of my personal favorites. Or not, actually, no, episode 50. Episode 50. I did not mean episode 51. 51 is Bird and Shiru. And as for Omega, Omega was rebellious against the Shiraboshi school, and that she wanted to climb to the top of the X Tower and show that the Shiraboshi school is the strongest of them all. And that she would do anything to try and keep her top spot, even including taking down Team Persona with a demonized Chrome Ryugu. Do you call those blank slates? Because I don't. Now, for a bottom line of this video, I'm going to say that this video feels derogatory. It feels like spitting on the Beyblade company. It feels like you're spitting on Takara Tomy. Not just for Beyblade X in general, but to Beyblade as a whole. Beyblade X isn't just a spin-off of Beyblade. It's a continuation. It's an evolution to what came before it. And while they don't look at the same, rate or the same look and design of the previous Beyblade designs, I mean, this one has 3 prongs while the other previous generations had 2 prongs or 2 launcher hooks. I can confidently say that this is arguably one of my favorite Beyblade watching experiences ever, because the anime has so many different character-rich moments that I honestly love it for what it is. And I love it because it's just, I don't know how to describe it. It's just great. But it isn't without criticism, as I said earlier in the video. But anyway, guys, that's it. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Tune in next time. Goodbye, folks.